Hey guys, good afternoon. Paul Bates here, and today I want to talk a little bit about what I can't explain. Because why am I out here doing America's Great Loop in my trawler that I paid $25,000 for? How does all that happen? And it's hard to explain. I can't really explain it. But I remember in life about two defining moments. Sorry, I'm pulling Daisy around with me. See her in her purse. Anyway, these two defining moments, that's what I really want to share with you today. I'll share the video with you right here about where how we got here. So it's about a 10-minute long, a little over that video about how we got here. But today I want to talk about like the defining moments and the stuff that I can't explain. Because you just never know what's going to happen. And what I mean by that is about, let's say, 2002, me and Bev got into a business delivery service with her family, and we did really well. We had 4 trucks. We had money was easy. It actually made me lazy, I think. But that business, we did great. I mean, we had money. It had good revenues. Everything seemed on the surface to be good. And I just remember I'm driving back from New Orleans. I'm in one of the trucks, and I'm very meticulous. Like, my trucks were perfectly taken care of. And I had like 3 good employees, so the whole system, it just worked, and it really did just work. Anyway, I'm driving back from New Orleans, and I'm looking at the steering wheel, and I'm saying to myself, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. But also at the same time, I can't just quit. We were making halfway decent money. We had savings. We had a house that was almost paid for. Everything in life was pretty good, and I couldn't just walk away from it. So you never know what circumstances are going to happen and how all this happens, but I just remember that. I just remember it like it was yesterday. Just when I close my eyes and think about it, I'm thinking, I can't do this anymore. And I was right. But how did I get out of it? What happened? So I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this hurricane called Hurricane Katrina. But Hurricane Katrina came along and the coast, and I was right there with it all. Actually, the damage it did to my house was less than some of the other storms, but the trick was it shut my delivery service for about a couple weeks. And I just looked and I said, I took really good care of all the trucks. I said, I can sell these trucks and I can start a little handyman service and I can make my money. They all laughed at me, said, you can't do that. The rednecks aren't going to pay you. And I said, well, we'll see. And I hate it when somebody says, you can't do that. You want to drive me crazy at work? Tell me you can't do something. Can't do anything. Can do anything. Anyway, so Katrina hits, and it was my out. I called all my vendors. I said, that's it, I'm done. I put all my trucks up for sale, which they all sold very, very quickly, and I was in the handyman service. And I was getting paid my money, and everybody paid it all day long. I didn't have any problems. You could go to the bank with the amount of money I was making every month. It was just really consistent, and it was a decent living. And I kind of regret, when I look back in life, I kind of regret leaving that whole situation. But circumstances changed. Bev wanted to move, so we went back to Vegas. I thought I'd start my handyman service again, but instead I got offered a job, and the job was decent. And I really don't like talking about the companies and stuff like that, but anyway, I had the job, and this is probably 3 years ago. And I'm at my desk, and I say to myself, I said, you know what? I really can't do this anymore. I'm not liking it. I was really, really good at it, but it was just, I just wasn't feeling it. It was like, I can't do it anymore. And that was 3 years ago. That was a year before I lost my job. Well, what happens? COVID hits. Because I had no intentions of just quitting, 6-figure salary job and going out and buying a boat and doing America's Great Loop. I didn't even know what America's Great Loop was. But I did have intentions of buying this boat. What are you doing, buddy? Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Oh my gosh, you're cute. Good girl. Good girl, Daisy. Anyway, so long story short, I just remember sitting there 3 years ago saying, I can't do this anymore. So what happens? Well, in that 10-year period, if you guys watched that story, you know that I saved some money. But it's still very, very scary. And I didn't know the circumstances, but COVID comes along and actually takes my job. And I said, what am I going to do with this time? So what I decided to do at that time, when I go to work for a company, that particular job was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're on call. I mean, I'd be up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would be at the office doing whatever it took, and I'd be on the road. Anyway, it wasn't, I was really good at it and I really gave to it, but that's all I could give to. And I was done with it. I was just like, I felt like I was just a slave to it. And I don't want to be a slave. I didn't want to be a slave to the job. I don't want to be a slave to working. I don't want to be a slave to the bank. I don't want it. I really, really don't want it. So then I decided we'd buy the boat, and then it was a debate whether to go from East Coast to West Coast. And because the West Coast is, we could have gone and done Alaska, but it was going on down to the West Coast is very, very expensive. The boats are more expensive, and going to Alaska, it was, it's a much more rugged environment, and you have to really, really be in tune with what's going on. The weather, everything matters because there's no intercoastal. So then I didn't realize what America's Great Loop was, but I got to thinking, what is something that I could do that would be not horribly expensive, not financially kill me, live within my means. And then I started reading, doing some research, looking for boats, and I actually found this boat, the one I'm in right now, the one I paid $25,000 for. I found that boat, and at the time he was asking $89,000 for it, and that deal didn't work out. But what I did do is I just kept moving forward. We bought Loop Princess. You enjoying your walk, Daisy? Anyway, I'm going to back up a little bit, because what got me down here was thinking, you know what is something cheap I can do? Not cheap, but more affordable, and I can hone my boating skills. And that was America's Great Loop. And I go, that's interesting. Also, I'm running the intercoastal. I'm honing in my boat skills, because my ultimate dream after this one's over with is to go through the Panama Canal and down the Baja coast and then over to California and to Alaska. And then that I'm not sure on. But here's what I do know. This is what I am sure of. Right now, I'm on America's Great Loop. I've completed over 6,000 miles and I've honed my boat skills. I believe, when I started this thing, I wasn't a boat captain. Now I am. But I know how to handle the boat. I know not to get into the certain situations. I know to wait out my weather. That's why we're here right now, waiting out hurricane season, because I don't want anything to do with it. I really don't. And that's a disadvantage from the East Coast to the West Coast, because on the West Coast there, we didn't have to worry about that stuff. When I lived on my trawler down there, we didn't have to have air conditioner, and we didn't have to worry about hurricanes. We did have some storms, but nothing like nothing like a hurricane or anything like that. So anyway, that defining moment for me was, that I lost my job to COVID. We decided to do something different, and instead of just crying, saying, "Oh, I lost my job," I just, let's do something. Maybe it's time that I invest in myself. And maybe I can go help some people on the way. And maybe we can help other people doing what I love to do. That's boating and you know, adventures and stuff like that. So that's what started all of this. I actually started this YouTube channel, I don't know, about 4 years ago, actually. And it was just a way to share some of my adventures with my grandkids. And that's how the whole channel started. But then I started thinking, well, maybe if I use this channel and I actually start making revenue, I can make a living with it. And why can't I have 1 million subscribers, just like some of the other big channels? And, you know, it just got the ball rolling. I know it's going to be a slow process. I know it's an investment that I'm making. I know it's hard because I make every mistake twice this morning on my live feed was just an absolute freaking disaster. And, you know, I'm just learning. I don't know exactly everything that I'm doing. I still don't know today. But I do know that I believe in myself. I believe there's enough people out there. I believe there are 1 million people that, you know, are less fortunate. They don't, and they could be inspired to go do something like this if they do, that other people, you know, in similar situations that were absolutely broke 10 years ago could pull through and, you know, figured out how to get out of debt, figured out, you know, a lot of different things, and then do something. You know, I want to go see, I want to talk to people, I want to help people. And you can't just do that, you know, when I was working full-time 7 days a week, you just can't do that. You gotta, you know, if you want to be a man of the people, get around the people, and then be around the people you want to be around. So, and anybody can do it. So my whole thing with this channel is, if I can do this, I promise you anybody can do it. I'm no one special. Trust me, I'm not. To stand in front of this camera here in full HD and tell you guys all this stuff, you know, it's not easy to do. It really isn't. Anyway, I really want to just end this video by saying that in life, on those defining moments when you're living and you say, I want change, and then you actually do something about it, it can happen, and anybody can do it. You got to want it, and then you got to do it. You got to execute. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Paul Bates, peace out. God bless.